Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season, although a lot is going on in the world, so glad to see you're still here with me. That's the best that I can say. I'm very excited to listen to today's project. I think the most difficult thing would be that I don't speak fluent Spanish, so we're gonna do the best that we can. We're gonna catch the vibe, and then we'll look up some lyrics as well so we're not irresponsible about the whole thing. But I know it's gonna be beautiful. I will say that a couple of songs from this artist pushed me through severe depressions. Like, I would just listen and just fantasize about my life, but then also feel so much peace at the same time. So I'm sure this project is gonna be healing. So today we're going to listen to Kali Uchis' Orquídeas. I hope I'm saying that right. Let's double check. For some reason, I forecasted this project to be a lot darker in my mind. Doesn't mean that it won't get there, but I was definitely not envisioning something so lively. Slower songs, longer notes. So I love that we're getting something a little bit different while we still have those melodic lyrics that she gives us. For a song whose lyrical content has to do with situationships, feeling like you always have to draw people in this way, or not feeling like they are as attached to you, the beat is not indicative of that at all. It does feel somewhat like a cat and mouse game. I feel like it is questioning that logic more than it is an emotional release of those feelings. Transitions are gonna hit, because I just heard that transition hit. I love the production on this first song. By the time we get to the bridge, it's getting a little bit more dynamic, but I felt like the progression of it throughout the song was entertaining. I'm interested in this world already. This first song is setting me up quite nicely, so I'm very excited to continue listening. Listening to this song, I can't help thinking about the music movements that have been set recently. When this album first started, I thought about Renaissance and the effects of that album and that show on the music scene in general, lifting up this ballroom culture and having music that transitions in and out of house so frequently. Parts of this project do remind me of house music, but I also love the cultural influences that she's added to this. It provides so much texture along with the ad-libs, and right now the thing that I'm most obsessed with is the drums. Wow. Lyrically, we are sticking with the theme that was set before. We love ourselves. We are the most beautiful person on the planet. Everyone is drawn to us. And yeah, we can get a little crazy sometimes, but it's all good. You know, nothing bad is gonna happen. I'm really fascinated by the production. It just feels like a really nice vacation. It also reminds me of a vacation that I recently took, and I made a playlist for it, and all the songs sound somewhat like this, so it's kind of bringing me back to that time, but there is so much ease in this. I'm also noticing that so far this project has been love, whether it's self-love, romantic love centered, so I appreciate that. I think that's adding to the good energy, and I want to hear more. I want to hear where it can go.
They just can't reach a princesita inalcanzable. Le rompieron el corazón. Todos quieren plata, otros quieren fama. Un amor superficial. La favorita de Dios, la favorita de Dios.
We are intentionally creating a world, and I love that, let's take a moment to talk about this album cover, because now I have to mention that too. Okay, before we even talk about the album cover, let's talk about this. I was just thinking as I was hearing this song how Ariana Grande should be scared. Like, all of the house girlies are coming out of the woodwork, right? Last year felt like it was such a disco heavy year from so many big artists. The themes of disco were there. There was a little bit of house, but everybody was belting and dancing, and like this was kind of setting the theme. Some of that I think is going to bleed over into this year, but what I'm seeing with Callie's project is that it's intermixed with more culture, and there's more specificity in it that will let you allow it to mark this section of the genre as hers. And now that that's what's popular right now, people are going to keep doing it. But I'm like, if you're going to do that, like I don't know why it needs to feel very, very legendary. It needs to feel like you are unafraid to create something that may fail, but that has so much magnitude and reach that it's like, yes. And sorry, that was rude. I don't know why my radio just played that though. That was actually really rude. Ooh. I love the section where Callie and Peso Pluma are harmonizing together. That felt so gooey in my brain, and the combination of two unique voices on a project like this, you can't get anything better than that. Also, this song made me feel like everything was going to be okay, specifically when they were singing together. I was like, oh yeah, life is all right. Like, we be all right, which is a good feeling to have. Back to the album cover though. It is giving Fallen Angel. It does feel like we've crash landed somewhere new, but the glass, the plexiglass that she's laying on feels like she's also under inspection in some way. So it feels like we are testing out, either like performing experiments on this angel or trying to figure out like where she came from. And that could also relate back to the experience of being picked apart as a person, whether as an artist or in relationships, to an extent that makes you feel like you are under a microscope. I mean, she's literally famous, so like she is, and I know there's been some things in her personal life that have come up recently, but in general, that's the sense that I'm getting. That is also the sense that the music is giving me, so I love that those two things are aligned. She makes such daydreamy music. It also makes me want to go outside and lay down in a park, just look up at the sky and forgive myself. That may be a little too deep, but being self-reflective when you are in a relationship, cultivating a relationship, having a crush on someone, she's really good at translating those emotions into song. And the strong feelings provide strong imagery. The production gives a lot of strong imagery, and I love feeling wrapped up in that as well. We can frame it as good that these intrusive thoughts are all about appreciating someone. But feeling like you can't get someone off your mind in a song like this feels so real. Everything about the song feels very loving, and I think parts of that also contribute back to this fallen angel concept, not in the way that she can do no wrong, but that this love is free and given generously, and it feels almost like sainthood as well. The effect that Afrobeats and Amapiano has had on music coming out of the West is very interesting, because we know that like the more popular it gets, the more it'll just become commercialized. I do appreciate how musically diverse it is. This attitude, this confidence, this self-assurance, the ability to rely on yourself and push that narrative through such fun summer songs honestly makes me question why this is being released in January. I don't know if there's something more competitive coming out later. I don't know if it was just what was desired, but it does feel like we have all this music and there's nowhere it can really go. Even spring might have been a little bit better. I don't know, maybe the sad boy, sad girl, sad day fan base needed this to come in January. Maybe this is like a little January bop and we'll just hold it till the summer. I do think out of this album, I would be looking for one standalone song that doesn't have to be a ballad, but does allow her to exercise more of her vocal range, because I really appreciate when she does that. That is exactly what I just asked for, so I'm glad I received it. This villain arc that's building up, essentially when you like draw boundaries with someone and you decide, you know, you're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z, and then that their mistreatment of you then converts into them believing you to be the bad person, is all over this toxic relationship that's being described. Having it as a slower track, as something that you can dance to, but also lean into and languish in. This idea is coming from the visualization of being in a space where people are dancing to this, and it's dimly lit, and you can see Callie on a stage singing. Feels like a place where you should be calm and feel joy and enjoy the environment, but instead you're being seduced by something, and that would be this toxic relationship. It adds on to the perception of what this fallen angel has endured. The production on this song made me think about the places that I've heard production like this before, but also that when there are themes running around in music, that you're not really looking for someone to come up with something completely new. I think it's rare when you hear a sound that you haven't heard before, or it's more of just like a marker of youth, but that you are more interested in hearing the person hop on that style than you are just a new style pulled from out of thin air. So I appreciate her touching on this because it works really well for her. It's relevant right now, but it also allows me to look at her artistry and past projects and realize that she is still evolving and going somewhere new. The sense of play that I feel here and the concept that I feel here are very strong. And so even on songs like this where it doesn't feel new, but it's a continuation, I can appreciate that we were clear about what was going to happen when we came into the studio, and we were fine and we're making it work. I can't say that there is not texture in this, or that the harmonies aren't beautiful, or that it doesn't feel ethereal. Because this is the most provocative song, I think it feels disjointed to me when I think about the themes that I've been hearing, the love that I've been hearing. And I don't think it's that far out of field, but I do think that it didn't provide me as much energy as I wanted. Granted, it is a slower song. It definitely has some 90s themes on it. It feels like, you know what the theme is. I'm trying to say that you know what activity you would do when listening to this song, right? It provides all of that. think I'm trying to deep this angel narrative to the point where I can feel like parts of this are trying to align itself with holiness. And it makes me think about Rosalia's first album, because that hit the mark so hard, but also had a lot of new and inventive ways to experience something like that, and to experience also so much culture. I think I just need it to be either more dynamic or to have a feature. I would have loved a feature on this song. But let's keep going and then circle back to this when we have more understandings of the project. That made me feel loved, even though I know it's about the love in a relationship and how in love she is with this person. You can just feel that. I love the way her lyrics and the melody that she's singing bleed from the intro into the first verse into the chorus. Like the steadiness of that translates to how steady this love is. And it feels like the fluidity of that movement feels like it can fit in any shape, in any box. And there's so much of this too that's like, I'm not interested in being judged by anyone. I don't care what other people think. I only care about what you and I are going through. So to feel that in a song, to feel that steady through line that also flits from here to there, matches with that ethereal nature, but also makes you feel like this love is something within you, but also that encompasses you. This project has been consistent with its pacing and temperature. We are, oh, well, now I'm looking at the next song. And I know that it's a little bit more upbeat. Okay, so I'm glad we're also getting some time to throw some ass, because that's great too. I love that the love in this project, along with the production, comes with the moments for you to dance, but it is not eclipsing the way that we feel inside, and it's matching that rhythm perfectly. I forgot about this part. I think it fits really well in the theme of everything else that we've heard. This is kind of turning the lens back on ourselves, being like, I'm that girl. Aren't you allured by me? I control men, like all of that stuff. So it definitely works. I love the musical break because of the, like, it's not so different from what we've heard, but the pacing was definitely significantly slower than what we have right now. So I think this picks the energy up. I don't have too much to say on this one because I have heard it before, but I do appreciate that it made it on the album, and it definitely fits with everything else. It is so common that I'm listening to a reggaeton song and I hear a little Jamaican sample. But that's probably why I love it, because it's derivative of that kind of music. I don't know if we can really say it's that because of how undoubtedly straight she is for the majority of this project, or rather the focus and the love. Well, I guess it's not gendered, but it does feel like it is. I'm trying to remember specifically how many times she said like him, and I can't remember. But what I can say is that part of this is more in like a sexual context, you know? I love that it's old school, especially coming after Muñekita and listening to El Alfa. Like, this is exactly where I want to be. So I appreciate having that thrown in there. The sensuality of this, it hits more than Young, Rich, and in Love for me, but I think that's just genre-wise. I also like that there were so many embellishments on top of this reggaeton beat. There were parts of it that felt like it could have been electro pop. Just like the layering of these genres, having samples thrown in there, changing up the beat when you're making a reference to like the women and the different cultures that you love and appreciate. It just packs it all in a way that is very easy to interpret, but also like excitable presentation. And it seems like these last few tracks kind of are just like pumping up the energy.
Dice que no es normal, dice que yo estoy mal, yo sé lo que siento, lo que siento. All I hear is
I love the original of that song, and I love Rauw's influence on it. The ability to remix your own song like that and make another version of it, excellent. I think that one also fits better with the album. We could have had another song similar to Muñekita where it's like, we've heard this before. I loved everything about that. Rauw was either my number 3 or number 4. I think he was my number 4 on my Spotify Wrapped, which shook me. But the last 2 projects he put out, they were good. They were like, what can I say? Wow. Lyrically, it's kind of more in the same, the in-between state. It's more about having lovers than it is being in love. But I think it works well in the segment of songs that we've had recently and isn't anything that's too jarring for the project. In fact, it continued to maintain this energy that we have.
just play with my hamster. Can we spend some more hours in bed till noon? Vamos a comer un heladito.
We are getting closer to the end of the album, shifting back into slower tunes, which makes me think that this last song is also going to be slower. I do think that the upbeat songs could have been spread out more throughout the project to maintain the beautiful transitions that we had in the beginning throughout the entire project. I've been stopping and speaking, so I can't really speak exactly to how well those have been working, but the ones that I've heard have been very strong, and I think that we could have played more with that level and that energy.
Mi cama es una nube y yo soy un ángel. Te duermes conmigo, pero sin descanso.
The angelic portions of this feel like they are part of human nature, and this album cover that we have that looks like art but also looks like it is nature, like there's a lot of flower petals. The idea of this project being centered around orchids, it just feels like the thing that we should be most drawn to about her is her nature, that sensuality, that love, that ability to walk in a room and shock people. As she said, you know, people love the way that she's dressed and they feel drawn to her. So that's where I think I can make that connection, because the angelic part of the album kind of has died, or it was in like the first few songs, and now it feels like we're talking more about the love that we're in, but also the way that like that love is perceived by other people and what it means about us and what it means when those messages get back to us. Right now though, this song just loving your boo, having a good time with your boo, nothing deeper than that. So let's go on to the last song and then wrap everything up.
Varias veces en el día, como agua y el sol. Escúchame cuando te digo, dame beso sabes dónde besarme
I like that ending because it feels nestled in community, the environment, the idea that we would be dancing to this somewhere and like don't worry about what people say to you, like you're just out with your friends for the night. It feels very loving and like it can hold so many people in it, and the combination of 2 songs or like 2 shorter songs being fused into one brings you on this longer journey that reminds you of like the different sounds that you've heard, the excitement that you felt, the love that you felt, the tragedy that you felt. And I also appreciate at the end of the song just like talking to the listeners and just saying, I'll see you next time. You know, because part of this has felt like it is like a look into her life, but without having so much specificity, really just tying to the emotions in her life. Okay. Maybe there is something to be said about an angel being undefinable, or rather what angels look like to you. The transaction of love and experiencing a lot of this sainthood, this calling, this being alluring coming from a place of love is a beautifully strong theme throughout this project, and I really appreciated all the cool things that I heard. This is definitely going to be on repeat for me. I'm like going to leave and put this in playlist right now. But as always, let me know what you thought of the project. I would love to hear what song is your favorite, what is connecting most with you, what don't you like, what are the different ways that we are hearing this. Thanks again for a great recommendation. I was gonna listen to it anyway, but I got to listen to it with y'all, which is great. Although I'm a little tight, nobody voted for Kid Cudi. I'm still gonna listen to it though. That's all I have for you today. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and if you made it to this point in the video, I appreciate you so much, and I will see you in the next one.